Well, guys, you have sat through hopefully episode 1 and 2, and for episode 3, I decided to slow things down a little bit, take things back nearly a century, and start off in a 1923 Rolls-Royce. I mean, seems logical. How often do you have a car like this sitting around that you can actually sit in? It's pretty fascinating, and I'll get to that in a second, but just real quick while we're here. You had to do all of your own timing in order to start this bad boy. There's a few other steps that are involved as well to get it to actually start, including pumping the pressure of your fuel, but we'll just leave it at that for now. So let's hop out. I have to go out of the passenger door because there's a shifter in there. So anyways, hopping out, wanted just to dive right in with you guys, change up the speed a little bit. The past 2 videos, I just wanted to make sure you guys got caught up. There's been a ton of time that has passed. This project has taken on a whole different form and timeline than I ever expected, but all the good things are worth waiting for, right? I guess, I don't know, whatever the saying is. But anyways, as you can see over here, and I'm just going to spin around so that way the focus is on exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see, the garage has become quite stuffed, packed, whatever. But there's now a wall sitting next to my car and between Logan's car, so that way he has a little bit more room to be able to get in and out. But in order to actually work on the E30, I have to move the Rolls-Royce out of the way. So just real quick, while we're staring at this beautiful work of art from the outside, again, like I said, the overall length of this vehicle is extraordinary. It is nearly, I would say it's a good 30 inches longer. I mean, that wheel I think is a 24. Both are right up against the garage door. So it's quite astonishing just to see what stature of vehicle this was in 1923. So a little backstory on this just real quick, because I find it fascinating and maybe you do too. But this vehicle has been put into our care as das Erbe for curation, and we just have had the pleasure of taking care of it over the past month and a half or so. And it's been pretty fascinating to work on. But that being said, it has taken away quite a bit of time from the E30. So what I wanted to do, since the past couple episodes have been specifically time lapses and a little bit of talking, but specifically time lapses on the work that's been done to get it to this point, I wanted to peel back a few of the layers, just kind of go over some of the things that have happened to the car through the process. It has taken, I don't know, since 2019 that I started working on it to get to this point. So it is well overdue to be finished and be enjoyed and shared. But I just wanted to go over kind of where it sits right now, since it is kind of dry fit prior to tearing it all back apart to send it off to paint to put it all back together. So for now, I'm going to cut away so that way I can pull this out of the garage and we can get back to the E30. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Did you need attention, huh? What's up? Right, well, it took a little bit of time to get the Rolls-Royce out of the way. I also was able to scoot the E30 over, and then the battery on the GoPro died, and then the memory card was full. So we're back, finally. And as you can see over my shoulder, the E30 has its hood off, the top down, and I think it's time to kind of just dive right in, just go over all the little bits about the car. So this one is going to be a little long-winded, guys. I'm going to be talking a lot, not much time lapse going on, if any. But if you guys have any questions, if I missed anything as I was going over the details about the car, make sure to drop the question in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back to you about that. But let's just start right here at the front of the car. So, just coming in a little bit, we have brand new depot headlights. These are the black depot headlights with the crosshairs. So every light on the vehicle has been or will be replaced. Obviously the turn signals up front haven't been installed. We're gonna wait to do all of that until final fitting, but I did actually eliminate the side markers with the Euro trim. So new headlights, new turn signals or driving lights, as well as the fog lights are going to be brand new as well. And next to the fog lights, as you can see, there's a new brake duct from Condor Racing. And so I opted out of running any of the OEM wheel well shrouds. And so that eliminated the brake duct. So instead of just having the OEM brake duct just kind of hanging out there, I went ahead and upgraded the brake duct system so that way it just takes the air directly to the brakes, keeps them nice and cool. So I do not plan on taking this car on the track. However, for its spirited drives, I want to make sure to keep everything cool out here in the hot Las Vegas desert. So jumping over from the brake cooling to the oil cooling, we have the Mishimoto, I want to say this is the 10 row, the smallest of what Mishimoto offers. I had to tuck a lot of stuff right up front, so in order to continue to run the AC, I had to run the smaller oil cooler, which is just fine. It's still thicker than the OEM one with these really nice braided lines. I'm sure it'll do just fine. Moving forward with the cooling, there's a 12-inch Spall pusher fan right here up front. It is a slim fan, again, to fit everything. The AC is also still intact. And then down in front, we have the Chase Bays power steering cooler. So that's mounted in the OEM oil cooler area. And then just coming up top, the CA-Tune silicone radiator hoses throughout. I have two Pooler 10-inch Spall fans with a brand new CSF radiator and this beautiful CNC'd aluminum CA-Tune radiator brace. So that is a must. That is awesome and stout. So the whole cooling system and keeping this motor nice and cool was top priority for me. So I went a little overboard, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't skimp out on anything, including these very thick oil lines that run to the brand new Euro oil housing. So instead of running that top cap that some M50 and M52 or S50 and S52 engines run, I opted for the Euro spec housing, so that way it actually gives me two ports with a oil thermostat built in, so that way I could run the OEM setup on this with the upgraded oil cooler. So just kind of diving down a little deeper, there's the Chase Bays power steering reservoir. So I did run all Chase Bays high pressure braided lines for the power steering. I do have the upgraded M3 steering rack, and then you can't see it down in there, but there's the Condor steering column system down in there. Not really sure what that's called, but we're just going to move on. So M50 intake manifold for the proper flow, upgraded and flow tested and cleaned injectors. I did adjust my valve cover, so don't beat me up too much. This is an M52 S52 valve cover on an M50. Now, in my defense, I really hate the oil fill in the back. I am not a big fan of the plastic valve cover, but whatever. that is BMW. Everything went plastic in this generation, so I'm okay with it, but the M50 is a metal valve cover, the S50 is a metal valve cover, the M52 and the S52 are plastic valve covers. Works just fine, obviously everybody's running them, but I did just want the oil port up front. That's allowed me to go ahead and upgrade all of my coil packs, because since I swapped the valve cover, little fun fact, the M50 coils do not fit on an S52 or M52 valve cover, so I upgraded all of those, or updated all of those, and just, you know, freshened that all up. So just coming down here, there are also the stainless steel long tube headers coming off of the engine, and the brand new AC components throughout the vehicle. And what else? All right, so there's also S50 cams inside of this engine, so a little bit better, peppier top end. We've got the Garagistics strut tower bar cutting across, keeping everything nice and tight, along with the CA Tune coilovers. Now, there's a little bit of an adjustment happening here, but we'll get to that eventually. And again, this is a convertible, which means there should be a battery here, but I don't like batteries up front. It doesn't belong there. So I did go ahead and move the E30's battery from the front, which it belongs in the trunk, so it's now in the trunk. So this power wire is running back to the trunk, it's all brand new, tied into the E36 power bust, so that way it gives me the ability to be able to jump a car from the front. I did go ahead and add all of the beauty covers, so that way all the wiring will be nice and tucked away. And then just coming around here, we got this super thick breather hose. Now, since I did change to the M52 S52 valve cover, there's this silly plastic line that runs off of here, it just clips in. So in order to get the right thickness, this massive hose had to be added, because I did not want to do that, and it runs over here to this little box. So just opening that up, I went ahead and tucked not only my MAF and my filter in here, which I will be opening this up more in order to get more airflow in here, but I also tucked an oil catch can, which you can see sorta right down in here. So those lines just run right through this wall, and I did hand build this air box, so it's pretty exciting. Nice little custom product by yours truly. But moving on, we've got the intake line just running through here, intake hoses. The Mishimoto overflow, or coolant reservoir, as others may know that have purchased this, there isn't a bracket that holds this in place. So you're kind of left with figuring that out. And I decided to go ahead and mount mine to the driver's strut tower. Now, biggest reason for that is because putting it in the OEM space for the E36 would have it in an E30, it does not properly fit because of the AC. So, and don't worry if you're concerned about this, I'm going to be trimming this hose to get it to fit, but the best option that I found was to be able to bring the reservoir back here, specifically just to allow a little bit shorter access to the back of the thermostat housing where it's supposed to run. So just help to eliminate the crossover line from this side of the engine to this side of the engine, just to run to that back side of the thermostat. So that's where it's at for now. I also went ahead, and let's see if I can move this out of the way. I eliminated the brake booster, and instead of trying to run a different brake booster to be able to fit it in here with this manifold, so when you're swapping an M50, M52, S50, S52 into an E30, you can't run the OEM brake booster. So one way or another, you have to adjust that. So I just decided to upgrade to the Chase Bay manual booster, or manual brake snow booster. And then I also, if you can see it kind of tucked in here, I added an auxiliary clutch reservoir, which is that right there, just because I wanted to. Wasn't really a fan of tapping into the brand new brake reservoir, So I just opted for that and plumbed that right in, so not a problem at all. As much as I do want to customize a lot of this car, I did keep the fuse panel right where it belongs because it fits. And aside from just getting a new top for it, it looks just fine right where it's at. So kind of the idea behind this entire build, not only did I want it to be an LTO convertible, but I also wanted to build it with the respect of, I'm going to hesitantly say this, but build it as if it was a Porsche. And I say that only because the Singer builds, the Gunther Works builds, they just have such a caliber of craftsmanship, and that's really what the purpose of this was. You know, just to see if I could build this as close as possible to a well-sorted E30 with a lot of Porsche pride tied into it. So don't hate me for saying that. Please understand where I'm coming from with it, that realistically the Porsche community does build some amazing vehicles. So why not put the standard right up next to Porsche? All right, so just kind of coming in here, the windscreen's going to get replaced. It's got some cracks, some damage in it. I don't know if you can see that, so that's going to be coming out. I did go ahead and do a mono Euro wiper, which means that I don't need this hole, so that's going to get taken care of. That's going to go away. The wheels on this are obviously not correct. They do not fit. I really am not going to run spacers that are going to be gigantic in order to make them fit. Plus, they're just some ESM wheels, and they're cool, they're nice, but there's better things on the way. So just coming into the body a little bit, so where there used to be the bumpers for the doors or the trim, all of this is going to get removed and welded up. So I don't have to worry about that. And then just along all of the trim work, all of this is getting replaced. So some of it is still on the car because I didn't need to remove it yet, but out here in the dry desert, all of the rubber seems to have cracked and peeled away, so that's all getting replaced. I guess just kind of staying on the outside of the car before I jump inside, I did swap out the convertible cover, specifically because this is a manual cover. This is a 92 E30, so it did come with the electric automatic top, which if you have ever messed with an E30 with an electric top, it is as close to junk as possible if it does not work properly. So I decided to opt out of the electric convertible top and just swap everything to a manual top. So I did have to swap that cover out as well. There's a little safety latch that's right along here that doesn't exist in the electric tops. So fun little thing to swap everything over, and then I went ahead and added the handle in as well, which you need to do in order to convert from a electric to a manual top, so that way this stays closed. Because if you don't do that, you end up with these. So some genius at some point decided that they would go ahead and drive this even though the cover wasn't operating correctly, and because the mechanism of the electric top wasn't working, it didn't latch this down, which means that air got into it and it flipped up, you know, at some rate of speed, fast enough in order to bend this very thick piece of metal. So once this goes to the body shop to get everything painted, that's going to get fixed as well. In addition to the third brake light that's already been deleted but just needs to be skimmed over and painted. I do want to pay a lot of attention and respect to this beautiful handmade wing that's on the back, or spoiler, thanks to Kugelworks. This was handmade, and no, it wasn't just for me. You can buy this for yourself if you don't know already, but it is awesome, and it fits so well with the body line. Like, if you really just kind of can get a look at this, it just ties in so awesome. I really like it. Tail lights are getting replaced as well because mine are cracked and cruddy, whatever word it is that I wanted to use. You can't really see in here, but there is a battery tucked over here, so we're just going to not act like we didn't get in there. For those that have purchased their LTO kit, I had put in a personal request to eliminate the very deep gas door, because from what I have heard, you have to use a funnel in order to fill your gas. So I opted out of that, no holes, and went ahead and added this gas cap here. So really am glad that I went with that. Just a cool little addition that I feel like fits the car very well. Alright, so let's go ahead and just dive in. I'm going to stay on the passenger side. It's a bit wiry on the driver's side. So as of right now, the interior is all original. I say that and now I question myself, because realistically this did used to be tan like this. So somebody has dyed these and didn't do too bad of a job, but they are dyed. You can see some of the wear, but there's also a excessive amount of wear in these. But I am not going to be doing some fancy brand new seat. I decided to keep these. Now, not exactly, in all fairness, because that's gross, but I did order all new bolsters for the top and the bottom. The only thing that is not available is the headrest. So in all fairness, just to be transparent, this is going to still be the same headrest except for the material. Thanks to Ian's Interior, Ryan over at Ian's is working with me on getting the interior taken care of. So have some special centers to be put in here and then new bolsters. But since I did buy all new foam for these sports seats, these Recaros are going to be as fresh as the day they came off the assembly line. However, these are the non-winter package seats, so they're not heated. And even though I do live in the desert, it gets cold in the desert at night. And you never know, there might be a pretty little lady that's sitting in the passenger seat that just wants to be warmed up. So I opted for the heating elements. I bought OEM E30 heating elements for the sports seats. I think I might have got the last ones in the world, because I haven't seen them available since I purchased them. Either way, I'm going to upgrade these so they will have the heated seats installed as well. The back seats are going to get covered. There's also some other stuff that's going to be going on back here, but we'll get to that when the time comes. And then to follow suit with the interior wrap stuff, I did create these door cards, which will be available soon once my car is finished. And I went ahead, like I mentioned, Porsche-esque, respect, went with the door pulls, so these actually operate and open the door. So that's fully functional. These are the door pulls from Condor, so if you guys are looking for where I got these, they're Condor. Handmade the cover for this, so you can't buy that just yet. I also have the fire extinguisher brace in here from Garagistics, and then as you guys can see, there isn't a dash, because I am going to be flocking the dash. So that's to come. We'll be sharing that video as well. But as you can see, all of the wiring throughout the car has been speed loomed, so that way it's nice and clean. This is all the wiring that is going to be underneath this dash, so no chaos, no clutter, just straightforward, exactly what is needed under the car, or in the car. And then just zooming in here a little bit, this beautiful shifter. This is the Garagistics body mount shifter. It looks amazing in here. I do have the cap for it, but fair warning, public service announcement, do not install your cap in your shifter until you are certain it is exactly where you want it, because once it is in, it is not coming out. And that's the last thing you want, is some crooked shifting. So coming down in here, I opted for VDO gauges to keep to the OEM look of the vehicle. Some other little parts. Center console is all going to be reinstalled, and then brand new steering wheel is going to be installed with a few other little bits to go along with it. So as of right now, the interior, and fresh carpet, fresh black carpet. So pretty awesome just to see. I sit in it sometimes just to act like it runs. Yes, I do make vroom vroom noises to tell myself that it does run. Just coming back to the shifter, because I feel like it's important since you can't see it, but connected to the shifter is a 6-speed out of a 330i ZHP E46. So I opted for a 6-speed for the drivability. I do plan on driving this to California and to shows. I'm really hoping to not fall victim to the trailer life. But, you know, for the long hauls, I think it'll eventually end up on a trailer. But between now and then, the goal is to drive this vehicle, once it is done, everywhere I need to take it.